Imagine slipping on the ChronoLens, a stunning fusion of art and technology, and suddenly, the fabric of time unfurls before you. With its sleek design and shimmering holographic energy lines, it transforms every glance into a portal. Witness the rise and fall of empires, the intimate moments of history, and the possibilities of futures yet to come. No longer mere memories or distant dreams, time becomes a vivid tapestry, woven with the threads of every moment, waiting for you to explore. When ChronoLens was unveiled, the world stood in shock. A pair of glasses that could see the past and the future. What once belonged to the realm of science fiction had now become a reality. ChronoLens was not just another smart device. It was a revolutionary leap for humanity. A doorway to the unknown, a key to unraveling the mysteries of time. The company behind this invention, Visions, had been relatively obscure before. They had never released a commercial product, nor had they been known for any groundbreaking research. Yet, they claimed to have achieved one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs of all time, harnessing an undiscovered quantum field that allowed users to view and experience both past and future events. As soon as the product was announced, millions of pre-orders flooded in. Governments across the globe scrambled to regulate, to control, or even to suppress ChronoLens. Some countries banned the device outright, fearing the chaos it could unleash. Debates erupted worldwide. Was humanity truly ready to face the full truth of its past? Could the future really be seen? Or was ChronoLens merely projecting fragments of an uncertain reality? The first users of ChronoLens had experiences beyond imagination. An archaeologist tested the device at the Great Pyramid of Giza, and what he witnessed shocked the world. Massive stone blocks, floating effortlessly into place, assembled using an unknown technology far beyond anything modern civilization had ever seen. A historian stepped into the Colosseum and saw gladiators fighting to the death. With such terrifying realism, he could almost feel the dust and the blood in the air. Investors looked ahead to stock prices, months into the future, and made bold decisions based on what they saw. Police forces used ChronoLens to reconstruct crime scenes, solving cases in mere hours. Medical researchers tracked the progress of diseases, using future projections to develop groundbreaking treatments. Ordinary people, for the first time in history, could relive moments of their past, mistakes they wished they could undo, opportunities they had let slip away. But not everyone was happy with what they saw. A man discovered his wife had been cheating on him for years. A young woman caught a glimpse of her future, a life filled with failure, despite her best efforts. Some fell into depression, unable to change their past, or cope with the weight of an inevitable future. Slowly, people began to realize ChronoLens was not just an innocent device. It had become a powerful weapon in the hands of those who sought control. Politicians feared their secrets would be exposed. Corporate giants fought to monopolize access to future knowledge. Cybercriminals exploited the technology to commit undetectable fraud. One question loomed over everything. How did ChronoLens actually work? Were its visions of the past truly accurate? Or could history itself be altered by those in control? Did the future displayed through the lens represent a fixed destiny, or merely one of countless possibilities? Visions refused to answer. They simply issued a cryptic statement. Time is never linear. What you see is not necessarily what will be. But the scariest revelation was yet to come. A team of elite hackers worked relentlessly to crack ChronoLens's encryption. After months of effort, they succeeded. And what they uncovered was terrifying. ChronoLens wasn't just a window into time, it was a tool to alter it. Deep within the device's code, they found a hidden mode, one that had never been disclosed by Visions. ChronoLens wasn't just recording history. It had the capability to interfere with it. Small changes could be made, setting off chain reactions that rippled through the timeline. What did this mean? Had someone already been secretly manipulating time, without the world knowing. Wars, financial crashes, scientific discoveries. Had these events been engineered by someone wielding ChronoLens? If a person could truly control the past and the future, would they use it to save the world or to rule it? And more importantly, would anyone dare to use ChronoLens again after learning the truth? As soon as the truth about ChronoLens' ability to alter time was leaked, the world descended into chaos. Governments acted immediately. Every ChronoLens device on the market was recalled. Neural Visions faced intense investigations. Yet not a single executive spoke out. The world's top scientists demanded an explanation. How could a device designed solely for observation secretly interfere with time itself? Slowly, terrifying secrets began to emerge. ChronoLens was never a product of Neural Visions. The technology behind it did not originate from any known human research. According to decrypted internal files, Neural Visions was merely a front, a middleman facilitating a project far beyond the limits of known science. Buried deep within the recovered code, a cryptic equation appeared, repeated hundreds of times. SUX-DTE. Physicists recognized it immediately. This was an equation describing temporal instability. In simple terms, ChronoLens wasn't just displaying the past and future. Every time someone used the device, they unknowingly created a new timeline. Every time an investor saw stock prices rising and acted upon it, they had already changed the future. Every time law enforcement used ChronoLens to identify a suspect, the outcome had already shifted. Every time a user peeked into their own future, their mere awareness of it altered what would have been. This wasn't just a device for understanding time. It had become an uncontrollable force of change. Irreversible consequences. Before the recall, millions of people had already used ChronoLens. Millions of decisions had already been made. But the most terrifying realization was this: no one knew how many timelines had already been rewritten. Then strange occurrences started to surface. A woman who had glimpsed a vision of her wedding to a man she had never met suddenly found herself meeting him in real life. A scientist who had discovered a groundbreaking formula while using ChronoLens later realized that the equation did not match any existing scientific framework known to mankind. A man who had foreseen his own death in a car accident stayed home that day to avoid his fate. Yet at that very moment, a person identical to him was struck by a car right outside his house. Had the original timelines truly been erased? Or had they simply split into alternate realities? No one had an answer. No one could tell if the world they lived in was still the original timeline. And the more people searched for answers, the more unsettling things became. A classified report leaked from a government agency revealed disturbing patterns. Certain global events no longer matched historical records. Wars that had been won were now lost. Scientific discoveries attributed to specific people now belonged to others. Entire cities, once thought to exist, had disappeared from maps. It was as if the world had been rewritten, but only some people remembered the old version. What's worse was that ChronoLens may not have been the only device of its kind. The end of ChronoLens. Under immense global pressure, Neural Visions announced the permanent shutdown of the ChronoLens project. All data was erased. All devices were deactivated. Every individual associated with the project vanished without a trace. Yet, even with ChronoLens gone, one haunting question remained. Had the world already been changed beyond repair? What if, somewhere, someone had already copied the technology? What if time itself was no longer linear, but an endless series of fragmented realities? What if the world we lived in was already just one of many versions? There were whispers in the dark corners of cyberspace, rumors of a hidden underground network still using ChronoLens. Certain high-profile figures, politicians, tech moguls, military strategists, seemed to have access to information no one else did. Could it be that some had never stopped using ChronoLens? A hacker, claiming to be one of the original whistleblowers, posted a chilling message on a secret forum. The device was shut down publicly, but in the shadows it thrives. Some have learned how to navigate the fractures, and they are not looking to repair them. The war for control of time has already begun. Governments try to dismiss it as a hoax, but those who had used ChronoLens before, those who had seen the cracks in time, knew better. The question was no longer whether time had been altered, it was who was controlling it now, and for what purpose. Perhaps the greatest threat was not that ChronoLens had existed, but that its power had fallen into the wrong hands. Final words: a world unravelled. Even though ChronoLens was no longer available to the public, fear remained. People whispered about glitches in reality, moments of déjà vu too vivid to ignore. The feeling that something, somewhere, had shifted. Maybe time itself was broken, and if it was, could it ever be fixed? Or were we doomed to live in an endless loop of manipulated realities, where the truth no longer mattered, because someone, somewhere, could rewrite it at will? Maybe the world as we knew it was already gone.